April 18th, 1987. Coolidge, Arizona. Debbie Williams, a 31-year-old fifth-grade teacher from Post, Texas, had only 50 jumps to her credit. She was participating in a convention of 420 parachutists sponsored by Skydive Arizona. At 9,000 feet, while attempting to join a hand-holding ring formation, she slammed into the backpack of another jumper. The impact knocked her unconscious. She began tumbling like a rag doll. Gregory Robertson, a 35-year-old AT&T engineer with 1,700 jumps, was positioned 40 feet above the group. He saw Williams falling. He folded his body into a vertical no-lift dive, arms pinned, ankles crossed, head aimed at the ground, and plummeted toward her at approximately 200 miles per hour. At 3,500 feet, roughly 10 seconds before impact with the ground, Robertson caught her. He angled her unconscious body to allow her parachute to open, and at 2,000 feet, with 6 seconds left, he pulled her ripcord. Then he pulled his own. Williams survived. Skull fracture, 9 broken ribs, perforated kidney, but alive. Robertson's rescue remains the lowest midair rescue ever recorded. No law changed, no regulation followed, just a man who refused to let someone die. April 20th, 2014, Jämijärvi, Finland. The Comp Air 8 aircraft, registration OH.XDZ, was the first turboprop in Finland's experimental category. Built from a kit, not type certified. 8 skydivers from the Tampere Skydiving Club were on board, along with the pilot and 2 additional jumpers. Ages ranged from 23 to 45. At 1540, the aircraft reached jump altitude, 4,230 meters. The skydivers realized they had overshot the jump run and requested a new one from the pilot. The pilot increased power and began a left turn. The aircraft started descending. Airspeed increased. The pilot pulled back on the control stick. The plane leveled out, then entered a shallow climb. He reduced engine power to idle. The airflow over the horizontal stabilizer dropped suddenly. The nose pitched down violently. The right wing strut buckled upward. The wing folded against the jump door. The aircraft lost all controllability and began spinning inverted. The pilot and 2 skydivers closest to the cockpit escaped through the pilot's door. The remaining 8 could not reach the door. The folded wing blocked it. The aircraft crashed into the woods. 8 skydivers died. The investigation later found that inspectors had overlooked structural modifications to the aircraft. The cause? The wing strut's stress resistance was exceeded by negative G-force. A non-certified aircraft. Overlooked modifications. 8 dead. June 21st, 2019. Dillingham Airfield, Oahu, Hawaii. A twin-engine Beechcraft King Air took off from Dillingham Airfield on the north shore of Oahu. On board, 11 people. The plane turned around shortly after takeoff, appeared to be heading back, skimmed over trees, and crashed near the airfield's perimeter fence. It was fully engulfed in flames when emergency crews arrived. No survivors. The NTSB later determined the operator had failed to account for the added weight of parachute rigs, placing the aircraft beyond its aft center of gravity limits. The NTSB's final report faulted the FAA's regulatory framework for parachute jump operations, citing inadequate oversight of maintenance practices and pilot training standards. A systemic gap, the agency said, heightened risk across the industry. 11 people, a plane that never should have been loaded the way it was. A regulatory framework that failed to prevent it. August 2016, Lodi, California. Tyler Turner was 18 years old. He had cerebral palsy. This was his first skydiving jump. He was jumping tandem with instructor Yong Kwan. They plummeted from 13,000 feet. The parachute they shared failed to open. Both died. The Lodi Parachute Center had seen 21 deaths before Tyler's. 5 more would follow. An investigation revealed Tyler's instructor was not fully qualified, a fact that prompted the passing of Tyler's Law in California, making skydiving operations responsible for ensuring their instructors are properly certified. In 2021, Tyler's mother, Francine, won a $40 million settlement against the center's owner, Bill Dowse. Dowse's response to the death: if you're driving down the freeway and you see this big car wreck in front of you, you don't get out of your car and get a horse and go home. You keep going. February 19th, 2022, Waller, Texas. A male skydiving instructor and his female student were performing a tandem jump near the city of Waller, northwest of Houston. The parachute failed to open. Both the primary and secondary parachutes just kind of swirled down, according to Waller County Sheriff Troy Guidry. Both were flown to Memorial Hermann Medical Center in critical condition. The instructor died. The student survived with injuries. Skydive Houston suspended operations pending investigations by local law enforcement and the FAA. The cause of the failure, both parachutes, was never publicly specified. 2 parachutes, both failed, 1 dead, 1 injured. No systemic change followed, just another statistic in the annual fatality reports. April 27, 2025. Shotton Colliery, County Durham, England. Jade Demerel, 32, was an experienced skydiver with over 400 jumps. She jumped from 10,000 feet. She never opened her parachute. She died instantly on impact with farmland. The night before, her boyfriend of over 6 months had ended their relationship. Police ruled out suspicious circumstances. Sky High Skydiving later stated that all indications from the police and British Skydiving are that this was a deliberate act. No equipment failure was found. A trained skydiver with 400 jumps. A breakup. A 10,000-foot fall. No parachute. No accident. A deliberate act. Executed at terminal velocity. June 13th, 2025. Dunkeswell Airfield, Devon, England. Adam Harrison, 30, was a skydiving instructor from Bournemouth. Belinda Taylor, 48, was from Totnes, Devon, a mother. She was strapped to Harrison for a tandem jump. They jumped from 15,000 feet. Their parachute failed to open. Both were killed instantly. The investigation opened. British Skydiving launched an inquiry. The company that managed the jump, Skydive Buzz, later entered compulsory liquidation. A new company, Skydive Southwest, was created by former staff, claiming no connection to the previous owner. Less than a year later, on February 28, 2026, a 49-year-old experienced solo skydiver died at the same airfield, also from an apparent parachute malfunction. 3 deaths at one airfield in under a year. 2 parachutes that never opened. 1 company liquidated, another taking its place. August 2017, Mission Beach, Queensland, Australia. Toby Turner, 34, was an experienced solo sports jumper. He was responsible for packing and maintaining his own equipment. He packed his parachute into an incompatible container, a container not designed for that parachute. During the jump, his parachute opened prematurely. He crashed into tandem jumpers Peter Dawson and Kerry Pike, who were above him at the time. All 3 died mid-air. A police investigation found a parachute used by the tandem jumpers was torn and saturated in blood, consistent with a mid-air collision. Coroner Nerida Wilson found that Turner made an error of judgment. She noted a culture in the skydiving industry which allows those with experience to self-regulate. Solo jumpers were not required to undergo third-party equipment checks, unlike tandem operators, whose equipment was thoroughly inspected. The numbers. In 2023, there were 10 fatal skydiving accidents in the United States, out of approximately 3.65 million jumps, a rate of 0.27 fatalities per 100,000 jumps, the lowest ever recorded. In the past decade, there have been 9 fatal aircraft accidents related to skydiving, with 26 total fatalities. The sport is statistically safer than driving, but statistics don't account for the 18-year-old with cerebral palsy, whose instructor wasn't qualified. They don't account for the 34-year-old pharmacist whose parachutes failed on his first wingsuit flight. They don't account for the 8 skydivers trapped behind a wing that should have been inspected. Numbers are cold, the deaths are colder. If thou enjoyed this video, subscribe for similar ones, and feel free to drop suggestions for the next video in the comments.